people are pressuring Papua New Guinea government. Now people give him deadline. Long Prime Minister, he must take him action. Now this deadline, up until 1st of October.
To do everything possible to secure release of those captured and to do everything within our power to take those who are injured so their lives can be saved.
Good evening, everyone. This is a special news and current affairs edition focused on the latest developments on the 8-year-old Bougainville conflict. Tomorrow is the last day of September, the final day in which Sam Kawana expects an answer from the Prime Minister on his demand for the withdrawal of security forces on Bougainville and to declare the island independent. Failing that, Kawana threatened to kill the 5 soldiers captured early this month at Kangu, and he made it clear in an interview with us he'd kill one each day in order of rank. These are extreme agendas the government was not expected to give in. The initial reaction from the commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Brigadier General Jerry Singarok, was to appeal to Kawana to spare the lives of the 5 soldiers. To kill them would be an act of murder. Bougainville's regional member of parliament, John Momas, has reminded Kawana that it would be against Christian principles and common sense to hold lives of humans as a bargaining point. Mr. Momas has been asked by the commander of the Defence Force to try and ensure the release of the soldiers.
I'm very happy because I've always wanted to be involved in talking with the rebels, talking with the soldiers, the chiefs, everybody, all the parties involved. And I think it's a good sign that that this situation has arisen in lately. And I've already spoken with the commanders of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force to lend my support in a peaceful search for peaceful resolution of the crisis. And
John Momas flew to Buka early in the week to talk to the BRA command. Leaders, the Defence Force, the churches, ordinary Papua New Guineans, and even Bougainvilleans are hopeful that Kawana does not carry out the threat. Sam Kawana and well-armed members of the Bougainville Revolutionary Army came out to the Koromira area, the east coast towards the south of the mainland of Bougainville last week. These are rare pictures of the coastline from Kieta south. That used to be the Aroba Airport, once an international airport and the main airlink into Bougainville from the rest of Papua New Guinea. On this day, the body of the late Catholic Bishop of Bougainville, Gregory Sinkai, was flown to Koromira, his home area. This is where he emerged as a clergyman. The church where he said mass to a predominantly Catholic population was to be his final funeral service before burial in Kieta. Unlike the funeral services in Buka and Arawa, there were no soldiers at Koromira. This is the BRA stronghold. There was clearly a strong display of force, a strong purpose on the part of the BRA corps. That demonstration was only distracted by the atmosphere of sadness at the loss of one of them, the Bishop of Bougainville. Sam Kawana was also with his wife and his 7-year-old daughter. His daughter, in this case, was brought out of the bush for the first time and saw the sea for the first time. Sam Kawana felt the loss of Bishop Sinkai as the others. They had lost someone who gave them spiritual strength.
Spiritual, yes. And I walk in pastoral walk belonging inside long old village and about because long this time no good, no got mission stations because long fight war between Papua New Guinea and me operate long village level. Long side long peace. And I advise me pla, and I talk long me pla. Me especially, me no sabi long all narapla leaders long side long me pla tas all me. Yes, me sabi planted time me sabi come long time me sabi feeling all kind heavy workloads na now. And me sabi talk long me long side long peace too. Now long this planty is sabi tintin narakain. Only say thing also me sabi support him side long independence. But suppose me play scaling good this plan man. E me no support him one plus side as all. E me quiet type of a person na e me sabi stop PC scaling good one him tintin belong all people like belong all people na in his capacity now me sabi try him long bring him peace.
After 8 years since the conflict started, there hasn't been any peace. There's been ceasefires, suspicions, failed peace talks, accusations and counter-accusations, sufferings and more killings. Both the Papua New Guinea government and the BRA are talking peace, but their idea of peace contrasts dramatically with each other. The government, the legitimate authority of the independent state of Papua New Guinea, of which Bougainville is a part of, wants to basically end the fight, restore services, reconstruct Bougainville. The current theme is restore, reconstruct, and reconcile. Here then is the BRA's position on peace.
Peace only after you me or Bougainvilleans, you me sit down one time, na you me address him this issue, one something me stop long hard blow me blah. Only after me address him this issue of independence, then real peace and by come long this time. All other areas also long practical areas display and by come behind. After me decide him also future blow me na future blow me and freedom. Na freedom and display peace. Me I will like him. Me prepare long naraplakain option other than independence. Maski in my heart, there is no point of turning back. Maski in my heart, by me push on, by me go ahead. Because me feeling long hard blow me there is no compromise. You know got compromise. Plenty people blow me children of Bougainville only die finish on this struggle. Now there is no other alternative. The only way for us left is for us to fight through, fight on, even if it means 10 to 20 years. Me been talking Prime Minister, Sir Julius Chen, finish long honiera, time me, high check him this peace talk, in which me to make him long 1984. Me talking him long I belong in, me talk because you know walk long Harry me for the next 10 to 20 years, by me struggle on. Now in history, me isabe, one country or one group isabe struggle long rights, freedom long all. In the end, all is I achieve one goal. With that principle, now me by struggle on, fight on until the final goal has been achieved.
That hard line has not changed, even though there's been at least 4 separate peace meetings between different governments and the BRA. The first one, now known as the Endeavour Accord, was facilitated by New Zealand. It was held on board HMS Endeavour. The government team was led by the first Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea and now Governor of East Sepik, Sir Michael Somare. Among those on the other side was former North Solomon's Premier, Joseph Kabui. There was no Sam Kawana, there was no Francis Ona, the president of the political head of the rebels. All that was under Sir Rabi Namaliu as Prime Minister. The one point that invariably creeps into conversations on the conflict: was it a mistake to pull out the security forces on Bougainville in 1989? It certainly gave the BRA a strong position morally, a strong position operationally and politically. A change of government after the 92 elections brought in Pius Wingti as Prime Minister. He gave Bougainville the attention demanded by making Michael Oggio the Minister for Bougainville. Mr. Wingti then made a terrible prediction that the Panguna copper mine would come under the government control within months, and Bougainville not long after. Sir Julius, who was then Pius Wingti's deputy, said at the time the head of the country had made a prediction, and he encouraged the rest of the country to get behind him and make it work. Sir Julius indeed got behind the Bougainville problems himself when he took over from Pius Wingti as Prime Minister.
You will find in a series of these events how far and deep this government is prepared to go to find solutions to this problem. We have the Endeavour Accord, we have the ceasefire, we surrender of arms, amnesty, the Malagan Accord, Honiara Declaration, and in some of those talks we have invited international observers, and I say it just for the sake of recapturing the names of those people and the people who attended. Deputy Secretary General of the Commonwealth came into Cairns and participated. We invited the parliamentary delegation of Australia to visit Papua New Guinea. We had Sir John Caputin's report on Bougainville. We had also Mr. Vandals of the United Nations attended. So we invited everybody to the ceasefire in October 1994. We have never left any stone unturned.
It's a week since the ceasefire was declared on Bougainville, a bid by the Prime Minister Sir Julius Chan and the commander of the Bougainville Revolutionary Army, Sam Kawana, to bring about a peaceful settlement to the 6-year-old conflict on Bougainville. The ceasefire was one of the steps the two leaders agreed to when they met at the beginning of the month. They signed a peace agreement in which they also approved the deployment of a Pacific peacekeeping force on the island. 7 days after they take up their positions, another meeting is to take place. It's hoped other leaders of the BRA and the interim government of Bougainville will attend.
Today, after the signing ceremony, I begin on a new initiative with the personal commitment from Sam Kawana and his colleagues, and with my personal commitment as Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea to set the stage now so that from here on, every step we take is a solid opening for another step forward towards peace.
I believe and I'm confident that peace will come about, because that's what people want, both from Bougainville and Papua New Guinea. So I'm confident when I go back, when I instruct them, I tell them what to do, people will follow.
We all walk away from this conference room. We have no losers. We are all winners. This is peace with honor. And everybody who participated here can walk out of here with your heads up. We've all won. But more than that, the people of Bougainville and the Solomons have won. We've brought a beginning to a new hope, so that once again our people can move around hoping that they can convert their dreams into reality. For that to happen, it depends on the two of us. So before all of you, just like Sam, I'm committing myself and my government to peace. And I extend to you that hand of friendship, a hand of cooperation. Let's move forward together.
That handshake then ensured the Arawa Peace Conference and the deployment of the Pacific Peacekeeping Force to monitor the ceasefire. Sir Julius met all the agreed conditions for the Arawa Conference. It was a time of high expectations. In a subsequent address to the nation, the Prime Minister, given the signals in Honiara by Kawana, was full of optimism that there may be light at the end of the tunnel.
After 6 years of tragedy, an agreement for a path towards a lasting peace has been reached. There is no turning back. We are talking directly with each other, and the dialogue is continuing. I have spent many long hours with Mr. Kawana. The talks were difficult, the negotiations tough and prolonged. But I discovered many things in the course of those talks. I discovered that Mr. Kawana, just like any one of us, is a man of reason, integrity, and compassion. He is a man that can be respected, a man of peace, and one who will live up to his word. For the last 12 months, I have never stopped. I fulfill, and I'm able to tell, I fulfill every chapter of that agreement, every condition. The questions of refuge, forgiveness, amnesty, it's done. Setting up a transitional government, done. Bringing a place for Arawa Peace Conference, done. And I'm still moving, you know, so I've looked at every avenue that is constitutionally possible to do so without inflicting too much on the rest of the country. I've taken that path.
May have considered the Arawa Peace Conference high, but not urgent enough. He took a path leading back into the jungle and did not come out for the conference. Nor did Francis Ona. Instead, one might call spokesmen of the BRA were sent with rehearsed scripts.
Whatever resolution to be passed in this peace conference must not jeopardize or undermine a proper political decision to be discussed at the future conference. This current conference must address total withdrawal of PNG DS.
Another BRA spokesman, Lawrence Isidore, told the conference the whole peace arrangement in Arawa was a plot against the BRA.
Tupla ona one time cowboy na same na BRA commanders na interim government members only not long die long here. This pla true na no can deny him. As Bougainvilleans no can deny him. Now you walk towards long straight him this pla secret plot. Today straight him this pla rouse him straight him narapla find him narapla dupla road bambay tupla ona na cowboy must come down long here. Plenty of agenda, I start long paper. I mean, no proceed, na no long successful. I mean, no long karim kai kai also you pull like him. No card na no.
The peace conference then became an avenue to pull ideas. but it failed to strike the desired results. The ceasefire was still in force, although there were allegations and counter-allegations from the two sides of breaking the provisions of the ceasefire agreement. During our meeting with the BRA commander, Sam Kawana said the security forces and his men are at war since the lifting of the ceasefire early this year.
BRA emi woklong operate, emi woklong operate underneath long order blon Prime Minister blon Papua New Guinea. This order emi make him time emi rouse him ceasefire of 1994. Na emi talk also me no got more time long entertain him any more talk one time Bougainville interim government or BRA. Now even he went ahead na make him statement also your darkest hour is come. Now all get a walk BRA emi walk long walking underneath long this declaration of war on Bougainville by the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. Me no been surprised as BRA General time this operation he come up because all kind operations even come up after Prime Minister declare him once again all out war on Bougainville. Suppose me not recall him first one Operation Long Koromira, this station here in which BRA win him na push him out, drive him out one platoon Papua New Guinea Defense Force only show him this salt water across from here from the beach across to the island about 5 to 6 kilometers out. Narapla second operation even come up along Orami once again victory even go on side long BRA. Narapla operation even come up this high speed operation. Yes, me plaving kisim all get threatening media release from Papua New Guinea Defense Force na me play walk long waiting more long Aropa Airport. Time only come one full battalion. Only come me play drive him all out. BRA me win him victory long this time 1 week. In 7 days me drive him out army. Now after that incident even come next following incident me come up long Kango Beach. Now long Kango Beach me plus sabe yet such operations by come up. Now I'm legitimate because this kind operation I'm legitimate because Prime Minister yet I'm declaring this war. Now I'm walk long ask him more soldiers he must die.
The Kangu confrontation will be remembered in history. Over Bougainville, 13 soldiers lost their lives. What precisely happened is not known to this point. An internal investigation has been ordered by the Papua New Guinea Defense Force. The force has referred to the killings as massacre. Sam Kawana describes it differently.
Now massacre me apply long civilians here. One something come up long Kango Beach operation purely military action, purely tupla warring parties, warring armies only walk long fight. Therefore, long this Sunday, BRA eminap long win him, completely destroy him this camp long Kango Beach, now overrun him. This no massacre, purely military operation.
5 soldiers were taken captive in that operation. Kawana has threatened to kill them if the government does not respond to a set of demands.
2 platasol. First one, withdraw him security force from Bougainville Island and the atolls. Number 2, Prime Minister or Papua New Guinea government must recognize him now independence belong Bougainville. 2 platasol, me pla put him. Now yesterday, me plavin sit down, come up one time decision. This decision I'm also me pla walk long give him all till the end of this month. After me pla harim lo radio reply blon this pla demand blon me pla Julius Chen emi woklong sanap antap longem emi no worry atim Prime Minister emi woklong tingol se mi pla woklong pilai marble game ya o mi pla pilai kaskas na emi bing woklong emi tokol se mi no na bow down long when them kind demand only woklong give. Therefore yesterday mi pla sit down na all communications officers below me pla only salim finish message ikolong Prime Minister through CEO of 1PIR this pla demand now mi pla woklong pressure in Papua New Guinea government na mi pla give him deadline long Prime Minister he must take him action na this pla deadline emi up until 1st of October end of this month mi pla mas kisim sampla positive reply long demand below mi pla suppose mi pla ino kisim okay 1st September one pla long all this pla captured prisoner of war by mi pla neck him one pla by died on this pla date suppose Prime Minister meet him this pla demand below mi pla long show him Prime Minister also mi pla pilai kaskas first two prisoners mi pla holy mall okay mi pla Lucy Mall free mi pla mari long all sorry long all na mi pla Lucy Mall go free this time around inogat suppose Prime Minister emi woklong hard lo mi pla okay mi pla pilai mabol mi pla mas hard on him too so 1st October one pla private by out following that nara pla private until suppose Prime Minister harim tok below mi pla finally behind him rank and file more senior by die after mi pla out him ticket long first or private or apple sim.
It's a serious threat and sharply contradicts his earlier announcement that the 5 soldiers are being treated according to provisions of the Geneva Convention on Prisoners of War.
Emi alright because Papua New Guinea emi woklong burukim emi woklong kilim civilians Bougainville civilians only woklong stop inside long Port Moresby Ley Papua New Guinea okay harmless civilians emi woklong kilim all one talk system emi woklong operate inside long Bougainville okay suppose you look him civilians human rights violation only woklong commit him long Bougainville this pla kain pasin only woklong make mi pla na mi pla by sit down all sem tasol na let him Papua New Guinea kill him all civilians blow mi pla now suppose him make mi pla all sem okay Papua New Guinea yet emi woklong start him long this pla wait tasol let me justify BRA must make him this pla must take him tough stand must show him Papua New Guinea because mi pla fed up one time this pla kain pasin Papua New Guinea mi say make him no mi pla kill him all innocent civilians about inside law must be lay.
Government authorities maintain that same Kawana has misconstrued reported harassment of Bougainvilleans by other members of the public. The term harassment has even been raised on the floor of Parliament by a number of Bougainville MPs. In a most radical case yet, since the reported harassments, the Solomon Islands government this week recalled its students in tertiary institutions here. The official reason for the action is spillover effects of Bougainville. Waigani, however, expressed disappointment at not being informed. But the same Waigani has not said much about Bougainvillean students who are reportedly harassed at tertiary institutions. Those at the Goroka campus of the University of Papua New Guinea flew on to Port Moresby yesterday on their way to Buka.
There was a member of the community itself that was killed over at Congo Beach, and we had to be the victims out of that. Though we were sure that there was nothing would happen, but we had actually threats. There's a few of our students that were actually chased out of the township itself, and well, basically it's probably because of the skin color. We are all black, and the difficulty is that people aren't able to identify who is from Buka, who is from Kieta, who is from Buin. So we become a victim. As long as we are black in color, we are the victims of the crisis.
Some Western Britons look like Bukas too, don't
Well,
they?
believe it or not, 1 or 2 New Islander students, they were chased. And, as long as somebody's black, they become a victim out of the crisis itself.
That's bad, isn't it?
It is. It is. And, I sympathize for the whole situation itself. What else can we do?
This very concern was expressed by Bougainvillean MPs on the floor of Parliament last week. South Bougainville MP Michael Limo was disgusted that the government had no plans to ensure the safety of students and that they now have to disrupt their studies.
Even I raised a question on the floor of Parliament yesterday, questioned the minister if the minister is aware on the plan for various institutions have a plan to evacuate Bougainvillean students attending education institutions in other part of Papua New Guinea. And surprisingly, he denied that. So this sort of attitude or this sort of way, certain ministers, because the education, I think the Minister for Education is in charge of the responsibility of education, and I think through his ministry, he could have approached the rightful authorities like police to have enough security be provided to those educational institutions in Papua New Guinea to avoid any such unnecessary harassment to Bougainvillean students.
The National Parliament was poorly informed, if anything, on the latest situation. With the Prime Minister on duties overseas last week, the acting could not answer questions on Bougainville, particularly on the question of a bipartisan approach to solving the crisis and the ultimatum from Sam Kawana. If Chris Haiveta couldn't, no one could. It demonstrated that Sir Julius was handling the Bougainville conflict himself. The only Bougainville MP in cabinet, Joseph Engilio, is undoubtedly a concerned man, frustrated.
During the parliament session this week, the government has not come out openly to really appeal, just to appeal and ask the Papua New Guineans, our Papua New Guineans, to take more, concern that no one touches the Bougainvilleans, and just to come out in the public, on TV or on the news, just for an appeal not to touch or harass our Bougainvilleans would be a sign that the government or the deputy or any other minister is of concern. This week we were very, very concerned of the 3 Bougainville MPs who were here, and I'm speaking from my heart, and I was really concerned. So as the member for South Bougainville, and so as Michael Ogyo, the member for North, and just to see that government, a minister or the acting prime minister has not come out and appear on the TV would have been good enough for us.
All the 4 members of Parliament from Bougainville plan to take their concerns to the Prime Minister when he arrives on Monday. In the meantime, Minister Egilio made this plea to the rest of Papua New Guinea on the harassments against Bougainvilleans.
Yumi o kata Papua New Guinea man or good plan man. Na time situation is all same. So him too much calablo yumi that we are of concern of the other. Me appeal ta solo yumi or kata. No lari mo mi play staff. Plani long mi play rono long palace long situation. Plani or Bougainvilleans staff where through a long country. Yumi Rogeta, we have lost a brother, a sister, a mama or papa, and Yumi Rogeta on 2+ side one time, we have lost. I want to remind us, the Papua New Guineans, that there are a lot of our mainland Papua New Guineans in Bougainville, well taken care of by our Bougainvilleans. And that is a concern of, whether Papua New Guineans are aware of it. Like revealing that they have plenty of land blooming from mainland, Moravians, Sipiks, Medengs, Highlanders. They're out on the island, well taken care of by our own people. So, this is a reality, plenty land blooming stuff. Or Bougainvilleans will go to more on our side. So, mainland is on this land.
You may been stopped long time no good. Life now is hard to mind. Oh Papa, oh Mama, oh beginning will stop for it long all get a day. Oh my island Bougainville, me cry for you. And when the sun shines over you, you're always in my mind.
But as the hours tick away, Sam Kawona's ultimatum still stands. The commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Jerry Singarok, appealed to Kawona to spare the lives of the captured soldiers. To kill them would be an act of murder. The commander of the PNGDF and BRA, incidentally, know each other very well. Kawona, a former soldier, was once in a group with Singarok as his supervisor. Today, they are at opposite ends, and concerned for the safety of the soldiers, Brigadier General Singarok has asked Bougainville MPs to help secure the release of the soldiers.
My position has always been non-violent. I don't believe in violence. And it's unfortunate that so many lives are being lost, and maybe people are now coming to realize that the military option is not a solution. And also opting for the peaceful approach is not a sign of defeat. In fact, courageous leaders reject violence and opt for the peaceful approach, which is the approach of the mothers, the approach of people who care for one another.
John Momus met with Chris Haiveta, then acting Prime Minister, and sought the assistance of field commanders to go to Buin to meet with the BRA leadership. Anxiety over the safety of the soldiers grew each day in the last week. The member for Bougainville pleaded with the BRA to spare their lives. He reminded Kawona that killing them would be against all Christian principles. And that was also made known by the Apostolic Nuncio, the Pope's representative in Papua New Guinea, during the funeral service of the late Bishop Gregory Sinkai of Bougainville.
The life of a man or a woman belongs to no one but God. Most of the population of Bougainville is Christian. It means that most of the people believe in Jesus Christ and has committed to follow his doctrine and his example. It is time to translate our faith into action. It is time to build up, once again, mutual confidence, to trust each other, and for both sides to show concrete gestures of goodwill. Allow me to mention here that one of these gestures could be to free the prisoners recently taken by the BRA. May the death of Bishop Gregory be an occasion for all parties in the Bougainville conflict to end the violence and come to a just agreement. so that the people can once more live in peace and happiness. I am sure that this is what Bishop Gregory would want. Enough people on both sides of the conflict have suffered. Enough property has been destroyed. Too many lives have been lost. Please do not prolong for one more day the agony of Bougainville.
In all the prayers, pleas, and hopes, no one would be living the thoughts of the 5 soldiers than this man, Sergeant Petuelli. The sergeant was also in BRA captivity for several months this year. He endured the same threats.
We're giving 2 weeks tasolomi deadline. So this allows him, main something tasol like him, and security force must move out.
Main cold blow.
The main cold blow must move out. So security force must move out. Now lusi mo sa Mrs. Blomitulo must talk na. O sa pushim government na government tu masukim sa prasantino. Moving withdrawing security force out. Time will bin to ko sa mino bin poret. Mino bin poret liki ko sa Bible kilimo blor misa o sa misa plo ham blor. So mi tintin ta solam sem whether to me die am you right or you know die am you right. To pro one time mi ham mas ta so ida one something em come first em tas mi accepting ta so. Suppose all sali mi come back am you right or kilimi am you right.
Sergeant Petuelli escaped in July with the assistance of a Bougainvillean who he got to know during his months of captivity. Sergeant Petuelli expressed concern over one aspect of the struggle. He felt the BRA had an upper hand in their ability to take weapons and ammunition from the security forces. Sam Kawana, in fact, boasted about this. His line, the government of PNG supplies them with the arms and the ammo.
Lately, Mipla Woklong got major victories. This plan, Mipla been starting one time operation long here, long Koromira. Big plan operation come up long here. At that time, it was a company headquarter. This plan, company headquarter. Now inside long this plan, Mipla been winning plenty through ammunition. On top of this plan, mortar, bombs too, boxes and boxes. Mipla winning. Now weapons or explosives too one time, claymore mines and all that. From this plan operation now, Mipla mina tokolse, Mipla nap operate even long 5 years. The way Mipla say use him ammunitions blow Mipla all this plan, by taking Mipla something also 5 to 6 or even 7 years. Now with the latest operations long Kangu, Mipla been winning plenty ammunition antaplon this plan. Antaplon this plan, okay, one plan mortar tube too, Mipla winning. Now bombs blow mortar and Mipla winning blow here. Therefore now Mipla equipped militarily. So if Papua New Guinea wants to continue on with the fight, okay, and we work long equipping Mipla. You know, Mipla go out, spending toya, long buy more all weapons or weaponry, blow Mipla no guy. And Papua New Guinea Defense Force yet, you work long giving Mipla. Papua New Guinea government yet, you work long giving Mipla. Share long this plan, all military weaponry and we work long importing from outside. So one time this plan, me got confidence. BRA by winning more fight.
More fighting is not the position of the government. A peaceful settlement is on top of the agenda for many leaders, provincial, national, and even those at the international level. Of all the political authorities this side, the one that is more abreast of the situation on the ground is the Bougainville Transitional Government of Premier Theodore Mirion. Mr. Mirion has always held that dialogue must be continued. The one point that the Premier may differ from others is that the BRA must realize that the PNG government has a responsibility over Bougainville and its people. At the same time, the government must consider the human aspect of the BRA cause. As much as possible, Mr. Miriam says his government has tried to facilitate that.
And that is what BGG, Bougainville Transitional Government, tries to do. And Bougainville Transitional Government is an open book insofar as everything we plan to do, everything we think that can be done in order to creatively solve this crisis, this destructive crisis, we have documented and given to the national government. And the dialogue bit, we also try to do that quite openly. And, but the problem is there is so much suspicion of us by the Defense Force and by perhaps even the Prime Minister. We are in constant dialogue with the national government. We are part of the national government, the Bougainville Transitional Government. And the problem is, in the course of the dialogue, what we tell them, they don't take it as the truth. I think that's the problem. And the other aspect is that they should also re-establish the dialogue with the rebel leaders.
The Premier says that, with the knowledge that his movements had been restricted after the Kangu killings. There were even allegations that he had known about Kangu before it happened.
At the moment, I am not restricted, as far as I understand. My movement was restricted on the basis that I was advised that it was being restricted for my own safety. It has been my rule of operation and my rule of existence that whenever there is something being done, I must try to understand. I must understand. I try to understand the BRA and the leaders. I try to understand the national government. I quite understand what my people want. It is no secret, and that's the thing that is a lot of suspicion. People at heart want independence. But my view is that is what people want. But it is the duty of leaders to try and see if that is good for the people without suppressing it. But let it be discussed so that not for the benefit of maybe the leaders, but for the benefit of those who think that some miracle can happen just by using those words, or even by demanding that. That has to be talked about so that everybody can understand. And maybe that's too ideal of me to say that. But I think it's talk about it, understand, and find a solution.
On a different front on the ground, there's been noticeable changes to the physical outlook of Arawa. This is how it was during the Arawa Peace Conference.
Well, as you can see around here, the place is overgrown, and it will take a lot of work to get this place back in order. Basically, what the peace conference, if the result of the peace conference is positive and everybody is willing to start working again, we will take this place back in a state where it was 6 years back.
A large section of the town area has been cleared of trees and undergrowth. The people at the care centers volunteered their services to clear the place and make way for delegates to the Bougainville Peace Conference to use the houses. There were very little of furniture and electrical appliances in the houses. Looters had cleared the lot. At other sections of Arawa, houses were still upright, but under heavy foliage and undergrowth and trees. 2 community schools in Arawa town have been overtaken by bush. Outside one classroom, the school books left to the mercy of Mother Nature. On the floor of one classroom, school books were no longer usable, but the building seemed to be in fair condition. The only people left in Arawa after the Bougainville Peace Conference are the people at the care centers.
2 years later, it's quite a different story, a different picture. Arawa is now the pinhead of government services in central Bougainville, catering for about 30,000 people. Under the program of reconstruction and reconciliation, services are being expanded to neutral zones and hopefully to the BRA stronghold where about 20,000 people live. Peter Siunai is the district coordinator of Central Bougainville.
So our biggest aim at the moment is to provide the basic services to these areas. First, within the government control area, then to the declared peace zone area. And the declared peace zone area is within the North Nasser area. It's just outside of Arawa town. That's the area we're having about 8,000 people. Okay, the basic services we have tried to provide to the people. First one is the health service. We have already provided adequate health services within the area inside Arawa. So far we have about 15 health facilities actually operating within central Bougainville, 15. Out of those 15, about 6 of them are located outside of Arawa in the area I refer to as Peace Zone area. And these services we have provided are basically, especially to those areas outside of Arawa, is a token of peace to the people of Central Bougainville from the national government.
We can basically operate anything that we can come across. So we've got facilities for supporting facilities such as X-rays, pathology, and we also have a dental unit that supplements our facilities here, apart from the surgical facilities that we actually provide. When we deploy over to Arawa, our primary role is for the soldiers, the policemen, and the resistant forces that actually support the security forces. That's our primary role. We look after them whenever there are skirmishes or when anything goes on. We're brought in here. So our primary role is that. But when we actually get here, we end up looking after the whole of the province. We look after the surgical cases, we look after the medical cases, the children that get sick, the mothers that get sick. We look after those.
There is no peace in the real sense of the word on Bougainville after 8 years, but there are many genuine wishes. Casualties have been many. About 94 deaths have been recorded from the side of the legitimate authority. The BRA's casualties are not known. Much higher, though, are civilian casualties, either directly or indirectly. The economic loss to Papua New Guinea has been phenomenal. And among many who pray for an end to the conflict on Bougainville, there have been 2. Archbishop Sir Peter Koronku and Bishop Gregory Sinkai, both Bougainvillians, who died this year. Bishop Sinkai died only recently. They would turn in their graves in praise if Sam Kawana released the captured soldiers and began new peace talks for a Bougainville that is achievable, and for the security forces to do something about their tarnished human rights record.